Call the City of Westfield, Indiana Board of Public Works and Safety meeting to order for December 18, 2024. Will staff please note the presence of a quorum?
Randy Graham,
Present.
Nick Barbkinick,
Present.
Mayor Willis. We do have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Action item number 1 is approval of minutes from November 20th, 2024.
Sorry, real quick. We do have one change to the agenda, and I apologize. Action item number 6 is going to be tabled, if the board so pleases.
All right, for the record, let it note that action item number 6, 401A resolution, Brady Locks has been tabled. Is that good? Okay. On to action item number 1, approval of minutes of November 20th, 2024. Having had opportunity to review those minutes, are there any additions, corrections, or comments?
None here.
Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of November 20th, 2024 as written.
Second.
Have a motion made and seconded to approve the minutes of November 20th, 2024. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to contracts and agreements. Action item number 2, public right-of-way dedication, Charles Wheeler, Westfield Airport.
Yes, for the record, Michael Pierce, city engineer. This is a pretty straightforward item. This is just dedication of public right-of-way in accordance with our thoroughfare plan. This is on Dartown Road, just near Kinsey intersection. So on the east side of that intersection, Traditions of Westfield is building a retirement home facility, and they have to construct passing blisters on the west side of the road. This right-of-way dedication allows them to build that those passing blisters within city right-of-way. So this is just accepting a 50-foot right-of-way dedication along the west side of Dartown Road.
Sounds pretty straightforward to me. Is there any discussion?
None here.
Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve action item number 2, public right-of-way dedication, Charles Wheeler, Westfield Airport.
Second.
Have a motion made and seconded to approve action item number 2 as stated for the record. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to action item number 3, authorization and approval of real property acquisition, eminent domain actions in furtherance of construction and completion of the Mule Barn Road project.
I can kind of briefly discuss the next 3 action items, if that's okay. Basically, this is just asking for board authorization to move forward with, we're going to start doing this going forward for any eminent domain project where the city might be interested in acquiring property. It's just a belt and suspenders approach, getting approval up front before filing anything or doing any pre-suit negotiations. And today there's 3 separate action items for 3 different projects, which is Mule Barn Road, Jersey Street Parking, and Monon Tunnel. And if you have any questions about the process or the projects, I think either John or I could weigh in and provide some answers.
All right, so we will hear and motion them separately, or are you?
I would motion them separately just for the record.
For
I
the
know
record.
it can be time consuming, but just for the minutes and the record purposes, I think it'd be best. And as we go forward, we'll just bring each project to you, and there may be multiple acquisitions, but this would be a blanket approval for each project.
Okay, thank you. So first up is the Mule Barn Road project. Do we have any, is there any presentation to it, or is it just a motion of action that we're going to take?
Well, essentially, I think there's some language on how to make the motion for it, but if you have questions about specifically the Mule Barn Road project, we are doing an intersection improvement at State Road 32 and Mule Barn Road, widening and reconstructing that roadway. You may be aware there's 2 concrete plants north of the Country Mark fuel facility there. So the road, it's an old county road. It's getting pretty beat up from that construction traffic, concrete truck traffic. And the intersection itself doesn't have any turn lanes at 32. So we worked with NDOT to work through an intersection improvement project in addition to a reconstruction and widening of Mule Barn Road. We've been working on it for quite some time now, and we are looking like we are going to be needing to do eminent domain for at least one of the parcels on that project. So this would give us the approval to do so.
Very good. Any questions?
None from me.
Sorry about that, forgot to turn that off. Hearing none, I will make a motion to approve and authorize the city and its agents and attorneys take all actions appropriate to acquire any and all real property interest necessary for the construction and completion of the Mule Barn Road project, including but not limited to the right to exercise the power of eminent domain.
Second.
I have a motion made and seconded to approve action item number 3 as stated for the record. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. On to action item number 4. Yep, just a recap of what's going on there, please.
Yeah, so this is a parking project. Public use is for public parking on Jersey Street between 32 Jersey, Mill, and Poplar. There's that kind of uniquely shaped piece there where there'll be both surface plaza as well as parking garage for public parking that we're working through for that particular project.
That's a much-needed thing in the very, very popular sector of Westfield there that seems to be growing and growing, and I think this will probably stimulate that even more because that is the issue, obviously, is the parking in that area. So it's my comment on the project. Any discussion?
No, this is great. I agree.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, I would like to make a motion to approve and authorize the city and its agents and attorneys to take all actions appropriate to acquire any and all real property interest necessary for construction completion of the Jersey Street parking project, including but not limited to the right to exercise the power of eminent domain.
Second.
I have a motion made and seconded to approve action item number 4 as stated. For the record, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Bring us down to action item number 5.
Yeah, so this one, same procedure, but this one's for the Monon Tunnel project there at 161st Street. I know Mayor Willis has stated before he would even dig the tunnel himself. Fortunately, I don't think he's going to have to do that. We are approaching a letting early next year, and there is just a small amount of right-of-way as part of that project that's required from the northwest parcel there at Monon and 161st.
Yeah, from my past service on this board and other commissions for the city, we've been talking about this for a long time. And I think it's time to get the trigger pulled on this from a public safety standpoint. I think we all agree on that. Nick, do you have anything?
Nothing further.
Okay, there are no further discussion. I would like to make a motion to approve and authorize the city and its agents, attorneys to take all actions appropriate to acquire any and all real property interests necessary for the construction and completion of the Monon Tunnel project, including but not limited to the right to exercise the power of eminent domain.
Second.
Have a motion made and seconded to approve action item number 5. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. As stated for the record, action item number 6 has been tabled. We'll move on to action item number 7, WSP Acquisition Services Task Order CSX Property.
Yeah, so you may recall that we have worked with WSP and their right-of-way team on a lot of acquisitions in the past. We have a master contract, a master agreement with them to provide help as task orders are needed for acquisition services. So this would be an additional task order to that master agreement. The property in question, and I would say we are exploring acquisition of this, but there's a small sliver of CSX property on the west side of US 31, north of 32. there's a potential project for some development, and we want to make sure that there's adequate access for that development if it does go forward. So we are exploring acquisition of this kind of thin CSX parcel. Not a lot of use to CSX, but we still would need to go through the process, and that's what this task order would do, is to follow all the necessary guidelines and uniform offer requirements to acquire that property. The total amount of the task order is $9,660, which is basically just a one parcel unit price that WSP charges us for this work.
Sounds pretty straightforward.
Makes
Nick,
sense to me,
anything?
yeah.
Okay. There's no further discussion. I will make a motion to approve action item number 7, WSP Acquisition Services Task Order CSX Property.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve action item number 7 as stated for the record. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to action item number 8, United Consulting and City of Westfield Professional Services Agreement, Monon Tunnel Project Construction Inspection Proposal.
Yeah, so on a similar theme to the Monon Tunnel from a previous item, the contract before you is with United Consulting to provide construction inspection services for the construction of the Monon Tunnel. The amount of the agreement is $648,700, which is in line with what we would expect to pay for the level of effort we'll need for this construction inspection. Candidly, we do a lot of inspection in-house where we can within the engineering department. We've got a really strong staff of inspectors. We're not overly well-versed on trail tunnel construction. I'll be the first to admit that. And so we are looking to get some consulting help. And we want to make sure that this is done correctly, done well, and done in an efficient manner. And we felt like United Consulting was the best suited candidate, best consultant to provide those services for us. So again, the amount is in order with what we'd expect to pay. We've had United do inspection work for us in the past. Most recently, they inspected the Monon Bridge over 32. Did a really nice job on that project as well. So I feel very confident in their abilities to inspect this project. We'd ask the board to approve the proposal.
Scott didn't want to inspect it since he can't dig it.
Well, I could ask him, I'm sure he'll make an appearance out there from time to time. We'll have some site visits for him. We'll get him a hard hat and some boots and everything, but he can still do that. We'll leave the real inspection to the professionals, though.
Okay.
Yeah, Mayor Willis does have a lot of talents, but I think that may exceed his expertise, so. Yeah, on the serious level here, I think it's right on track. And I know that the city, saves us a lot of money with the talent that we have here, but this is a very specialized thing. And like you said, we want it to be done safely, correctly, and efficiently. So, and we have, I'm familiar with United Consulting, so I have no objection to this.
Same here.
Okay. If there is no further discussion, I will make a motion to approve action item number 8, United Consulting and City of Westfield Professional Services Agreement, Monon Tunnel Project Construction Inspection Proposal.
Second.
I have a motion made and seconded to approve action item number 8 as stated for the record. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to action item number 9, signing authority, Kimley Horn Design of Penn Street Extension.
Yeah, this is a kind of a unique one. We are working kind of in coordination with economic development, community development. The recently announced Ambrose on Main project is occurring is looking to occur at the northeast corner of East Street and 32. They're going through the zoning process right now. As part, really, it's a separate project, but it's supporting the development. Is an extension of Penn Street over to Hillcrest Drive. Pretty short little extension of Penn Street that we're proposing. And it would also provide some additional angled parking on that street. A couple reasons for it, honestly, in addition to the development. The 32 project builds a roundabout at East Street and 32. And NDOT is proposing added travel lane projects going east in the future, which would create a median. So some of the folks on Hillcrest Drive would lose that full access. And so this Penn Street extension gives them a quick and easy way to get over to the East Street roundabout to go east on 32 so that they're not making a right out and then making a U-turn. So there's some advantages there as well. The reason for the signing authority, I have a proposal from Kimley Horn for this design work. It reflects the not to exceed amount that I have in that signing authority of $166,000. I do think that we're actively negotiating that price down a little bit. I think it was a little too high. Didn't feel comfortable bringing it to the board for that amount, but I also didn't want to wait till January to get them started. So I would expect that number to be more like $150,000. And by granting a signing authority on this, it allows me to negotiate over the next week or two, get it signed, and get them going. So happy to answer any questions you have.
Great work trying to get them down.
Yeah, as always, good job on being aware of what is correct and negotiating for a better price. So what is that going to do to East Street and Penn Street? Is it going to be a four-way stop? Is it going to stop one direction? What's going on with that?
Part of the design will look at that specifically. I would anticipate it to be a two-way stop on Penn Street, similar to how there's a stop sign at Penn Street and Union is a through movement. I would expect the through movement north-south on East Street and then a stop sign on each side on the Penn Street legs.
Yeah, because East Street is major, much more major than Penn Street, I think, in traffic. And then with the roundabout going in, that's only going to increase that East Street traffic.
Yeah, we try to avoid a stop sign immediately north of a roundabout. You want
Right.
to try and keep that traffic flowing. But of course, we'll take a look at it and analyze it and make a good decision from there.
Very good. Good job. Any other discussion?
Nothing from me.
Okay. No further discussion. I'll make a motion to approve action item number 9, signing authority, Kimley Horn Design of Penn Street Extension.
Second.
Have a motion made and seconded to approve action item number 9. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. On to resolutions. Action item number 10, Resolution 24-155 declaring certain personal property to be surplus and authorizing disposal IT surplus.
Good afternoon. For the record, Christopher Larson, Director of IT for the City of Westfield. Before you is a resolution of a bunch of equipment that is no longer used, is outdated, and will be disposed of either by being e-recycled or sold to employees. So, let's see if it's on here.
The iPhone models are getting newer on the
Yes.
disposal list.
Yeah.
So you're making your way through.
We are making our way through, so, yep. It's a lot of,
We
and
got rid of the
some,
flip phones last year, right?
oh man. I remember when we had Blackberries for a while, so luckily we don't have any more of those. There are a few older computers that are on here. And just for your knowledge, when a computer gets disposed of, we make sure that part of the e-cycling is that the hard drive is destroyed with no city data on it.
Very good. Any questions or comments?
None from me.
All right. Hearing none, I will make a motion to approve action item number 10, Resolution 24-155, declaring certain personal property to be surplus and authorizing disposal IT surplus.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve action item number 10. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And we do have bond information in our consent, correct? Yes? On the consent, yes. Yes, okay. I would make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented, which contains only December bond information.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to department reports. First up, Chief Gaylor.
Good afternoon, Rob Gaylor, Westfield Fire Department. So today we're here to go over November's report. November, we were actually down a little bit compared to, not down in numbers, but down in the types of kind of responses that we did from 23 to 24. But we ended the month with 393 calls, averaged of 13.72 per day. So far this year, we're just a little 13.6 has been the average. Turnout time, we're still hitting that a minute and 13 seconds from the time the bells go off till we get out the door. And this is encompassing all of our runs. So even the lower acuity cat in a wall type calls we had the other day to a fire response or a cardiac arrest. So when you look at it like that, an average time on every run that we go on for a minute and 13 seconds, I think is pretty good. We had a total of 982 apparatus responses. And again, we're actually down a little bit instead of closer to that 18 or 20%. 16%, just a little over 16% of our calls were to extended care facilities. Really pretty standard national trending. Our EMS calls about 68%, and our fire calls constituted 32% of our runs. As we go in and look, and just comparison from 23 to 24, and then District 1, District 2, and District 3, you can see that there are very few similar trend lines and numbers, and so the whole montage here is a pretty vanilla month, and we're actually okay with that. I had a meeting this morning with the mayor, and he asked what our average response time was. And so an average response time for us is from the time the bell goes off until we actually get the first units on scene. And so I pulled some numbers, and I told him 6 minutes. I was wrong. 5 minutes and 57 seconds is where we're at. So with that, I would be happy to answer any questions you folks have. I'm not going to bore you and take up your afternoon by reading numbers.
How'd you get the cat out of the wall?
To be honest, I have not checked up on how the crews did, but I will say that we're pretty good at breaking stuff. So they probably punched a hole in the wall and rescued the kitten.
You guys described a process forward that you're working with council on care facility fees or fines or something along those lines.
Yeah, we had an hour and 10-minute meeting this morning and actually discussed some of our next steps and processes dealing with this. And we're really working on the education factor with these facilities and going that route. We've got some things in place. We're going to look at our response model and change a few things that we're doing, but really focusing on the education piece and entertain the idea of maybe some possibilities of some things like that. We're checking legalities and what can be done, what can't be done. Indiana is different than Illinois, which is different than Washington and Oregon. So we've got to check really with our legislation and see what we can and can't do. And, on that note, we did reach out to the state medical director, Director Kinney, and Westfield is not unique in the fact that this is a challenging problem, not only in Indiana, but across the country. And so we may be on the bleeding edge of some things here in the state of Indiana and what we come up and do. And just a testament to Westfield, we're not afraid to do that. So we're in a good spot.
Great. Sounds great.
Yeah, and congratulations on your outstanding turnout and response times. That's amazing. So keep up the good work, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Nope. Nothing else from me. All right, Westfield Police, Captain Adams.
Good afternoon. Billy Adams, Westfield Police Department. All right, so I'm going to skip down all these numbers in general. There's a couple things I'll just go over. These are all individual calls broken down to many different types of calls. What I'll go over, most important, total calls for the month of November, just over 3,100, which is pretty average at this time for us. But with that being an average call for currently, what I'd really like to point out is if you go down, what's considered our UCR stats, which is significant crimes that we're required to report, even though our call volume is on pace and even up from previous years. If you look at November of last year, at 70 UCR crime stats to currently 42. So that's the kind of crime rate that I think we all want to see in the city, decreasing, even though our population is up, our call types are up. We've managed to focus on a lot more preventative action with the technology and manpower that we've gotten to prevent those crimes from occurring. If you look at our call breakdown, of that 3,200, we averaged about 55% dispatch calls for service, about 45% officer-initiated activity, which breaks down to things like traffic stops, security checks, foot patrols, school patrols, things of that nature. Top 3 crash locations, I'd also like to point out there, as normal, our biggest problems there are along State Road 32, following too closely, often listed as the cause. More often than not, that's distracted driving. It just can't be proved at the time of the accident, so that often goes down as following too closely at those intersections. Significant events that we did this past month. We have a pretty good relationship with the Special Olympics at our agency, so we do a couple events per year with them. This past month, we did our kind of local event, Tip a Cop, where we go to a restaurant, our officers go in, they volunteer their time on their own, they serve food, collect donations as for their tips, and they donate that to the Special Olympics. We hosted another blood drive. We usually do about 3 or 4 of those a year. We assisted with the Veterans Day event for the city. Our honor guard, along with the fire department, presented the flags at that event. And we graduated, I believe, our 16th Citizens Academy since we started that program. So we graduated another 18 citizens here in Westfield through that program. So that's an amazing program that we highly recommend to look at if you get a chance. The last thing, 2 things I'd like to update the board on. I just want to give an update. Previous month, we introduced a possible 7 hires. All 7 of those individuals have been fully cleared, passed everything they need to. We intend to start them on December 30th. And I'd also like to just update and thank the board again, coming up in January. I know this board approved and looked at our Axon contract for the Officer of Public Safety Program, and that goes into effect mid-January. All of our cars, all of our body cameras, all of our taser equipment, our officers are going to get that much needed technology to help us do what we need to do. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Do you have any updates on the station progress?
Current status is mid-2025 start date with a completion of early 2027. It's about a 20-month build. Still a little over budget, so talking numbers and what does and doesn't need to be cut at this point.
Have you guys gotten the guaranteed maximum price yet and resolved that issue at all?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay. That's all I have.
Yeah, I would say excellent work, and anyone who, and the Veterans Day Honor Guard kind of nailed it. Even if Tony hit the chandelier, but we'll forget about that. Those things.
I'll let him know that was addressed.
Those things are in the way. Those things are in the way. But seriously, it was very nice, very professional, and being former military, and I was in what we called it color guard instead of honor guard in those days. But I was one of those guys, and I've done that, and I know how much practice it takes to have that kind of precision. So, police and fire nailed it. It was excellent.
Thank you.
So, thank you for that, and all the other things you do for the community, the blood drive, all the other things that you guys do are much appreciated. It's what makes Westfield a great place to live for me. And finally, the Citizens Academy, I guess I went through about 10 years ago, and long time ago. It has changed. I know it's evolved a little bit since then, but I highly recommend as a graduate of that anyone who's interested at all go through the program. It's excellent, and thank you for continuing that on. I know you're a big part of that now, so thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Anything else?
Nothing else from me.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, Public Works, please. Mr. Nail?
Yeah, since our last meeting, winter has arrived. So we've got our equipment in full winter mode. We've had a couple events already. Feel like they've gone fairly smoothly. Equipment's been holding up well. We hope that that continues. We'll take any anti-snow dances you guys can do. It seems like inevitably we get snow on Christmas, New Year's, and Super Bowl Sunday, weirdly. So those are the 3 days. It seems like it always snows. If you guys could do a little anti-snow dance for the guys, we'd appreciate it, because just a reminder to the public, there are real people that have to leave their families on Christmas Eve and jump in plow trucks to keep our roads clear. And so we'd love to dodge snow where we can on those special days. So next year, just kind of a heads up, 2025 is going to be a big construction year in Westfield. We are working through a construction inspections contract for some supplementary help from Lockmiller Group on filling in some gaps where we have shortages of inspectors because of the large construction season in 25. So heads up, that'll be coming through in January. We're still negotiating a couple items on that contract, but that you'll be seeing that in January. Then I wanted to give a shout out to a couple folks in Public Works. You'll notice that our agenda looks different these days, and I want to shout out Pat Luderitz here at the meeting. Pat is she's the oil in the well-oiled machine. She's what keeps us running in Public Works. She's been doing it a long time, and she does a great job in her position. This new software that we're using for agendas, I think we joked that it's 10 times as much effort as the old way, but kudos to Pat for really coming in, stepping up and learning the new software and keeping the agenda moving and running smoothly, even though it was a little more cumbersome than the old way. I know there are other benefits, but I just wanted to shout out her efforts for that. And then also Justin Jones, who's our street superintendent. Midway, earlier this year, I guess about midway through the year, we made a change within Public Works. Travis Stetnish, who was our street superintendent, moved into a new role as community safety and fleet officer for us. And Justin Jones, who was our street supervisor, or essentially sort of our assistant street superintendent, moved into the street superintendent role. And we really haven't missed a beat. He's been fantastic. He's got a great group of guys. He's kept, street department can have some turnover, we've seen from time to time. He's kept a really great core group of people, and we have a great crew in the street department thanks to his leadership, and I wanted to shout that out. So with that said, that's all I've got. Happy to answer any questions.
I have a question. It's not related to the agenda of the report. So the greenhouse that's up on stilts, is that where it's going? Is right there?
No, that's unrelated. So you see the foundation work that's
that
going on?
confused me. So I thought
Yeah,
it was going to be over there.
I can understand the confusion because they've
Right.
got a good foundation that's being installed right now. No, that is a different parcel. So the green building is going to be moving due west from here, but it's the parcel that sits on Union Street between the Westfield Playhouse and the small building there on the corner of Penn and Union. So it's currently a green space. It's still got grass on it. We have not excavated anything. I do expect to see a basement being poured on that site in the spring.
Okay.
We talked about maybe doing it as early as this winter, but we didn't want the concrete to sit out through the winter time. And from a timing perspective, with utility relocation work, we'll be able to pour that in the spring.
Yeah,
Totally different,
I thought
unrelated.
It was going to be there, and then I saw the foundation. I thought, well, I had that all wrong. It's on Finn Street.
Yeah,
now.
that is not a city project. It's totally
Okay.
unrelated, but just a
Okay.
coincidence that it's in a similar area. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you for clearing that up for me. I don't have anything else. Do you?
The new system is great. I know it sounds like it's a lot more work to manage and upload, but thank you for doing it, because for someone who's not in it every day, it's easier for me to navigate, so kudos.
Good feedback. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you, Pat. You're awesome. Any other discussion?
That's all I have.
Hearing none, I'll make a motion to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you.